Welcome to another episode of Positive Solutions for Life. This is Peggy Meyer. Today's guest is Hussein Hallak. Hussein is an entrepreneur, strategist, and author of The Dark Art of Life Mastery. Born in Damascus, Syria, and now based in Vancouver, Canada, he's founded more than 20 ventures across tech, education, and culture. He is known for his direct, no-nonsense approach to personal growth, clarity, and turning challenges into opportunities. As the CEO of Next Decentrum and a mentor to thousands, he helps people master uncertainty and build a life true to their values. His book, The Dark Art of Life Mastery, offers a practical, honest guide to living intentionally. Your life, your way, right here, right now. So, welcome to the podcast, Hussein.
Thank you very much. That's a great introduction. I love how you said the book as hearing it as like the person wrote the book because I never heard it like this. It's like, this is really nice. I really got it right.
Yeah, it sounds great. And I'm just like, okay, I'm so curious about it. But before we get into that, can you just start the conversation by sharing just a little bit more about you, your personal journey, and how does led to where you are today?
Yeah, I started off in Damascus, Syria as someone who just was in love with art, poetry, and technology. And I got into engineering school because I didn't have a computer and I wanted to see technology. I wanted to see a computer. That was in the early 90s.
Mhm.
And along the way, I ended up doing a ton of stuff. I did design, I did marketing, and really anything that came my way.
Mhm.
And I discovered that that's called an entrepreneur. Like you find things along the way and you just do them.
Mhm.
But I ended up starting over 20 companies across three countries. I started in Damascus, Syria, the oldest capital in the world, then in Dubai for 11 years, then in Vancouver for 10 years. And across that, I had like a lot of ups and downs, a lot of, just trying different things, I would say, and just uh, running through or running into a lot of brilliant people that I learned a lot from,
Mhm.
that I partnered with. And I think if anything to kind of summarize my life was the art of exploration and throwing myself into things that I know nothing about. So that can be like a summary of my life, which the
Well,
book is about.
yeah. Well, I mean, gosh, that sounds just so interesting because a lot of us are like, many people are really kind of scared of jumping into something that they don't know anything about. They're just,
Yeah.
and so that alone has like, oh my gosh, so many experiences that probably are summed up in the book, like you said, right? It's just like, wow, ton of different ventures, starting from nothing, knowing nothing, but then building it, getting around other people that maybe know more about it than you do. But anyways, it's just like all of that together. There's got to be a lot of failures and ups and downs because not every
Oh,
venture like makes it. I know that, and I think everybody knows that. But it's like they want it to succeed right away. So I don't know where you want to start, but like failures can be such great, experiences and really, you're experimenting with a lot of different things in life. That's what I heard.
yeah. Well, I think for me, failure is definitely a good teacher. However, what happened to me at the very beginning is I actually had a ton of success at the very beginning. Everything that I did was successful. And then so the taste of failure was really, really bitter when it happened, because I wasn't used to failure. I
Mhm.
didn't, and
Mhm.
everything I've done was successful, but I didn't know why it was successful. Because
Mm.
that's the most important thing. Is
Yeah.
that is not whether you fail or you succeed. It's whether you know why and you can learn from it so that you can repeat it. Because I was successful and I had no clue what I was doing.
Yeah.
So it was a stroke of luck, but of course I brought a lot of knowledge and experience to it, and I tested a lot of stuff. But I was lucky along the way until I got to my second tech venture, and it was like a massive failure. So, and I didn't know why what's happening was happening, and I
Mhm.
think that was the trigger for me to start a new journey, to start learning again
Mhm.
and seeing there is something more here.
Mhm.
Along the way, what got me into this kind of point that you highlighted, which is why I tried to experiment with a lot of things, is
Mhm.
I had very little to lose because every kind of thing I went into, I wasn't an expert in it. I didn't study it in school. I didn't, spend a lot of time learning.
Mhm.
So for me, it was an experience. It was like I I'm in it to learn as much as I can, and I'm experimenting as much as I can. And that, I think, opened a lot of doors for me. And
Mhm.
that became that, oh, so this is a superpower to enter something instead of trying to preserve or build on what I have. Let me try to learn and experiment as much as possible.
Mhm.
So I became kind of this voracious learner that picking up on everything and not afraid to try things.
Yeah. So that curiosity, I hear like that comes out to me like curiosity. And some of,
Mm.
a lot of us kind of have lost that over the years. I don't know why, but you had, you were fortunate. You had, these successes, but the failure kind of set back like, why? Why did these things? And so like, what was the thing about the success, that made it successful? Did you go back and like, okay, put pieces together? And
I
what did you
think,
find out?
yeah, absolutely. One of the key things that made them a success is everything that I went into, I would go 100%. Like I would not hold back. So a lot of times I've discovered now at the time it wasn't like a genius thing about me. It's like, oh, I knew that this is going to make me a success. It's just how I did things.
Mhm.
And mostly because I wanted things to succeed so badly that I wanted to, when I remember being in a band and I wanted to do so well that I would train day and night. I would like spend every hour that I could trying to make things work because I wanted to look good for, let's say, my fellow musicians
Mhm.
and on stage. You were on stage. A lot of the early kind of beginnings of mine, I was in the public eye. I used to be on stage or working with like really big kind of players. My first marketing company, we ran a competition, kind of like an old Craigslist. This is like the 1990 98, and there was no internet at the time, so I didn't know what Craigslist is. But
Mhm.
I kind of built a small Craigslist, and the first sponsor was the number one telecommunication company
Mhm.
in Syria, which was a big deal. I went and landed. I went and applied what I learned in a sales book, and I landed the company as my first kind of sponsor. And I wanted to do everything I could. So I read the book, from cover to cover, practiced so much so that by the time I was there, I was like on it.
Mhm.
So I just learned that instead of kind of going in missing something, I'll go in and my unfair advantage would be I've prepared so much, I've done so much that there is very little chance of failure. And it was coming out of fear, not coming out of, like some sort of genius move. It's like coming out of fear. I want this to succeed, and this is my
Mhm.
only thing. So I put everything into it.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, later on, looking back, I go, wow, this is a very powerful, superpower I can
Mhm.
apply everywhere. And it became my thing, my go-to thing. I would go into any meeting, and my secret is I will come in with as much power, as much preparation, as much as I could, so that overwhelm people that they can't say no to me,
Right.
something like that.
Right. Well, what I'm hearing is like all in, not just,
Yes.
all in on the energy, all in on, gathering as much knowledge as you can and applying it. I mean, some of us can gather, knowledge, but we just don't put it into action. We don't
Yeah.
apply it. And that's where we get stuck and, but it's just like, okay, fail faster sometimes, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, you gather all this information and let's go ahead and apply it. And it works, because that energy, that passion that you show, obviously, kind of also creates this confidence, I would say, persona, like, hey, I have all of this in a row. Like I have all of my ducks in a row. I have all this, but here I'm going to go in and there could be a fear of failure, but it's not like holding you back. It's like, I don't want to fail. So I'm going to do everything I can to succeed.
Yeah, I think my biggest, I think, break was performing on stage for music when I was like in my early 20s. And what that gave me is that when you're performing on stage, you know that you make mistakes, and
Mhm.
of course you're trained so well with the team. You train, you train, train. That's the key, is that when being on stage, it's actually the performance
Mhm.
when all of the work happened in the background.
Right,
And I
right.
think that gave me that kind of insight, is that all of that work nobody sees. But
Mhm.
in order to deliver a great performance, you have to train and train and train, and like
Yep.
even when you got it, you even train more.
Yeah.
So that gave me that one insight. The other thing is that it's not how you perform on stage, like if whether you make mistake or not, is how you kind of respond to it. There's
Mhm.
a saying called the show must go on.
Yep.
So if you make a mistake, you don't stop. It's like, oh, I made a mistake. What do I do?
Right.
You run with it. You go
Yeah.
with it. Like
Yeah.
even sometimes, I remember sometimes one time I forgot the freaking lyrics,
That
and I was,
happens. You know,
and
people on
that,
stage, they
yeah, it's
forget the
like,
lines,
and
you know.
I was like, yeah, I sang whatever I could, and even we were singing with a friend of mine, and he's like, you freaking forgot the lyrics. I said, yeah, let's have fun, and it's just that you just enjoy the performance,
Mhm.
and you because the thing is, if you stop and say, sorry guys, I from the lyrics, what happened is you broke the moment for
Mhm.
the audience, and they will
Yeah.
hate that more than if you go along with it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me, I took that to every presentation that I did with a client, to every
Mhm.
time I talk with someone. I would do all of the work in the background, show
Mhm.
up and hold nothing back. And even when I make mistakes, and even like sometimes on stage you feel something, you go with it.
Right.
And what that does is that you come out of that meeting not regretting, like, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have said. No, I say everything
Right.
there. I come up with ideas, and if they don't like it, I let it go.
Mhm.
Because also on stage, what you learn is that not everything everyone in the audience would like.
Right.
I think
Right.
that also is a key that gave me that I'm never going to get everyone, to some songs will, everybody will jump
Yeah.
around and will enjoy.
Yep.
Other songs, a few other people will enjoy. And you
Mhm.
need to focus on those people and play the energy in the room
Yeah.
or on stage. And
Yeah.
I think that gave me a lot of insight into when I'm in the room with a client or a bunch of clients, like I'll enter a room and like all executives,
Right.
I won't feel any fear because I'm going to play the energy. I'm here to create something
Mhm.
so that they engage with it rather than, asking for approval or
Yeah.
afraid of looking stupid.
Right.
Those are things that are set aside. I've already done the work. Now it's time for the performance.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
think that changed and gave me insight. And I never actually, before today, I never even thought about it. Thank you for the question.
Yeah.
But that is what gave me the power I have in the room. And
Mhm.
I don't mean that power that I'm great. I mean, like, whatever happens, it's going to be the greatest performance I could do in the moment. Whatever
Mhm.
my level of training, whatever my level of preparation, I will give it my all, and I will get out of there. And that will give me the most learning because, like, if I say I could have done this, it's not because I held back, it's because I didn't train. So the next time
Mhm.
I'll train more.
Yeah.
So I never
Yeah.
regret not doing anything, or I never regret, doing something and feeling like stupid. It's like, oh, what did I learn from this? So
Right.
it became
Right.
a learning process every time.
Yeah, yeah. And there's so many things. What comes in my mind now, music is not any of my talents. I'm thankful that, a couple of my kids have picked up band, at least during, the middle school and high school days. But sports is our thing. So all I'm
Mm,
hearing is I'm translating that to sports, in my
yes,
head, because
so true.
all of the practice hours, that happen behind the scenes, and it's the game that, the public sees, just like a performance on stage, you practice, 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 all of the music, you work with your teammates, the band members, and then that one performance. And it well as well, like obviously, you can screw up and forget your
Of
lyrics.
course.
Sports, you screw up a lot of times in the plays.
Yes.
Sometimes, the audience has no idea. The spectators has no idea that it went wrong. You
Mm,
just play through it and it's like the next play mentality. It's like the next thing. Afterwards, you can go back and just kind of review it and go, hey, I did the best I could. Okay, now here I can tweak this. I can practice a little bit more here.
yeah.
What's going to help me remember those lyrics next time I'm on stage? We can go through that. So we all have that. So you had said band, performance, stage, I'm saying sports, but you're also saying in work, it's the same thing. We're doing, so when the listeners out there, it doesn't matter where you are in life. I mean, life gives you the opportunities to experience it again,
Yeah.
so just
100%.
more practice, more practice.
100%.
Yeah.
In my book, what I
Mhm.
do with people, and when I work with them, I tell them, listen, for example, let's say tomorrow I have an important presentation.
Mhm.
Now I can sit around and say, we need 10 days, we need a week, or I can say, I have 10 hours. I'll do my very best in these 10 hours.
Mhm.
And that is the difference between working with what's possible or working with wishes, because the wish is not going to change anything.
Right.
You have that tomorrow, or of course if you postpone it, but if you have something tomorrow, like we have an important client meeting tomorrow, I'll do what I can within the time that I have.
Mhm.
But I won't start being all in my head trying to wish for something.
Right.
Choices exist in the present moment.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
you said when you explain my book, right here, right now, this is where you can make a difference.
Mhm.
And that is the difference between being present. I love the example of sports, music. you need to be present in the moment in
Yeah.
order to make a difference, in order to play, in order to
Mhm.
make music. You cannot be in your head.
Right.
That happens before.
Yeah.
So that is a difference, and it actually has a very nice feel to it because you're in the flow and you're expressing. You're
Mhm.
not stuck in your head and increasing your anxiety.
Right, right. When people, the term goes, like in the zone, that's when people are just present.
Mm.
They're trusting all of their practice, they're just living in the moment. And I feel like a lot of us don't do that in our normal daily lives. We might be able to pull it off once in a while if we're, talking to family in a presentation, but most of the time we're in our heads. So, how can you, like, I know your book is just powerful. Like, can you share just some things that are common, like maybe some foundational things that we all just need to remember to stay present, like right here, right now, and just live and just experience life in the moment?
I think the best one is to breathe. I have even like a chapter that says breathe, breathe
Hmm.
in, breathe out. I think what that gives us is a feel of our body because
Hmm.
sometimes I don't know if you catch yourself thinking and you're not breathing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Oh,
you're
yeah.
holding your breath and what that does, it kind of separates us from our body and our presence,
Hmm.
and that's one aspect. The other aspect is to be real with life. Like we a lot of times in our heads, the reason why we go into our heads is because everything's possible there. We can create a whole world, a whole universe of whatever possibilities in our heads while nothing's happening in real life. So it's very, I would say, addictive to like, oh my God, it's so great. Someday something's gonna happen. If only this, if this, then that,
Hmm.
like
Hmm. Yeah.
you but then you don't want to face reality because the more you dream, the more time passes and the more the deadline approaches, whatever
Right.
deadline that is. So I think this is the other thing is like to look at reality, and reality tells you, listen, the key thing is you have a big task. It's not going to change. So the
Hmm.
first thing is to be anchored in reality, no matter how painful that is, and then acknowledging what's possible.
Hmm.
I think that's another thing is that we try to do the impossible, and that's fine to go after it. But
Hmm.
first, I know what's possible. What's possible, I know for today, before our podcast, the my family, my extended family was here and they were traveling. So I told them, listen, I'm not going to be able to move the podcast. Let me say my goodbyes right now.
Hmm.
So sometimes voicing things out for yourself or the people around you, and they were very accepting. They didn't like we're Arabs, so sometimes these things like how could you why you're not taking until the last moment with family. But I
Right.
just was clear with them.
Hmm.
I shared what I can and I worked with what I have.
Yeah.
And we need to be very, I would say, forgiving for
Hmm.
ourselves.
Yeah.
We are human. We are not robots. We are not perfect at all. And our levels of energy are never this. It's always going to
Yeah.
be up, down. Some days, you wake up and you don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Work with that.
Hmm.
I, Instead, I used to get upset. It's like, why am I not in my 100% energy? I ate right, I
Yeah.
exercised, I did what I can, and I'm not at 100%.
Right.
Instead of getting upset of that, it's like, okay, where am I? I'm here at 80%. Okay,
Yeah.
what can I do with this? How
Hmm.
can I? So I think we don't spend as much time in reality. And when we do, and we look at things in reality and say, what can I do with that? And
Hmm.
what choices do I have? That practice at the very beginning is going to be weird,
Yeah.
but if we continue to practice it, we exist in reality, and then we come back to our dream and say, okay, this is what I can do right now. What do
Mhm.
I want? And then can I push myself a little bit?
Right.
And that gives us a range to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that reality, I'm thinking awareness. We got to be aware of, where we're at. You're talking about, well, like energy, it's not at 100%, but what is it that I can do right now? Is there a way that I can shift to create the energy that I'm needing? Or, there's some days, honestly, that I'm like, there is no way I'm going to be able to, like if it's something that I'm like, have to do a lot of brain power and I don't have any left, and it's like, okay, so what can I do? Is there some little things that I can cross off my list so that at least I'm doing something and then recharge so I can put the mental energy into what I, need to do with that task. And so I think we have to just be aware of where we're at and to make those choices. Like you said, every moment is a choice. Every moment we can decide, do we want to stay stuck in our heads? Because what I'm hearing you say is it's like dreaming of all the possibilities, but then I'm like, yeah, but a lot of times I'm stuck in the past. Like I'm stuck going, I shoulda, coulda, woulda, and
Yeah,
kind of deal.
100%.
And it's not that energy is draining me. So where are you at? Where do you want to go? And make choices to kind of slowly get you there if you're not at 100%.
Yeah, because you can't change. I mean, it sounds so rudimentary and people should know it. You can't change the past, but
Right.
and I think one of the practices I encourage people is give yourself time to, if you really want to dream into something, just time it and say, you know what, I'm into dreaming mode right now. I don't want to work. I don't want to. So give yourself like, hey, I'm going to spend 15 minutes dreaming of whatever, daydream, or I want to spend, 10 minutes cursing how I got here and, the mistakes I've done, and then move on.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with anything that you're going through as a human being. Every one of us is uniquely different in many different ways. And that's
Mhm.
why there's not one process that works for everyone.
Right.
What you need to get skilled at is knowing yourself
Mhm.
and knowing what moves you. Like I know, for example, when I'm at a certain level of energy or when I'm feeling a certain way, I'll be writing and I'm in the middle of my thought, and I know I want to finish an article, but at a certain point, nothing's coming out,
Yeah.
and I used to kind of plow through it, and what ends up happening is that the thing that takes me half an hour takes me like 2 hours to finish.
Yeah.
You've probably all had
Yeah.
some
We've had
version
that.
of that. And then, but what I realized I could do is like, okay, I could go do something, whatever. Like I would go prepare, my yerba mate tea, or I would, go watch a YouTube video, or
Yeah.
I just go lie down and be lazy,
Hmm.
and then I'll come back with a ton more energy. Even if that laziness took 2 hours, when I come back, I can finish what could have been finished in 2 hours in 10 minutes or 15 minutes or half an hour, and then I would still feel great. And
Yeah.
that is really important. I think one of the things that I focus on in my book, and we don't talk a lot about, is the
Mm.
joy of working on something,
Yeah.
which is everything is requires energy. Everything requires effort spent. But if we're spending that effort towards something we really want and we really
Hmm.
like and we're passionate about, it's joyful effort.
Yeah.
If we're spending that effort towards something we don't want, it's pain and we don't want it.
Right.
So being in joy rather than just focusing on moments of happiness
Hmm.
is really, it's really, I think, opens the door for a new experience of life
Yeah.
wherever you are in your
Yeah, I find that really intriguing because sometimes we can make a mental shift. Like we want to experience this joy, and it is the thing that we want is going to be joyful, but sometimes the tasks to get there are not that great. They're not that fun to do. And
yeah.
but we can switch it to the mindset. I feel like, so I'm like, so I'm thinking, oh, family vacation. Let's, everybody's gonna go here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's gonna be so far away. It's gonna, I gotta do this. But then it's like, okay, well, okay, I wanna, save up this amount of money to make sure that we all go on this vacation. Well, the things that I'm doing right now, okay, that can make me the money that,
Mhm.
is going to help me get there. So how do I shift my brain to say, all right, instead of, oh, this is the grind, I don't like doing this, to, oh, right, okay, this is an opportunity for me to get a little bit extra so that we can go on this vacation. So can you touch a little bit on like some of that joy switch? Like we have that opportunity, that choice
Yeah.
to like switch that a little bit.
Yeah, there are many ways to do things, especially today. Like in
Mhm.
the past, when I used to write poetry, or I write anyway, I used to have a pen and a notepad. That's it.
Yeah.
So if I have to write, I have to sit down and write, and my hand will be tired after writing for a while. Now I can go on a walk and dictate to my phone. And this is actually one of my favorite things. I would go on a walk. I live in beautiful Vancouver.
Yeah.
So I'd go on a walk surrounded by trees and I'll write. And what ends up happening is that that exercise is far more joyful than
Mhm.
sitting at a chair,
Mhm.
my back is stiff, all of that. Then I'm walking and I'm enjoying. And I think finding different ways for doing similar things, or for
Mhm.
doing things that are required from you, being creative in doing things, I think goes a long way. And
Yeah.
today's world, you have AI that helps you. You have,
Mhm.
people that you can work with. You can negotiate your way through things. I think exploration is the key, testing new things.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot. One of the key things that a habit of mine is that whenever I'm hating a task, or a task is not done fast enough or in a fun way, I would actually go online and say, what's the software to do this? And I'll discover softwares, and this is how I discovered many softwares that actually are really, really fun to work with. Like I discovered Miro, which is a whiteboard
Oh
software
yeah. Yeah.
that I can chart on it the stuff, plans for
Yeah.
things. And I
Yeah.
have so many boards there that I put, instead of organizing things around, printing things and organizing them. I organize them there on the board. I
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
some stuff. So these are things, and you don't have to use softwares in the same way other people use
Right.
software. You can use them in your own way. So I
Yes.
think finding different ways to doing things can also add to the joy,
Hmm.
and can also increase in discovery, and in a certain amount of time. Like right now, things I take for granted, a lot of people think, whoa, you can do this. And it's all just because I actually bothered to explore, try different things. And
Hmm.
over time, I became such an expert at, not because I wanted to, but because I continued using them. So I
Right.
think that's very important.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that you have to really ask yourself, why are you really doing this thing? So for example, when I'm writing, why am I writing? Reminding yourself of why you're doing it and what you want out of it. And I think if you're not getting that from it right now, how could you get that?
Hmm.
Do you need to step away from it? Do you need to bring somebody else to kind of joy? Like right now, I'm writing a novel, and the way I enjoyed the novel and turn it enjoyable is I brought my son to brainstorm with me.
Oh, yeah.
So that made it such an enjoyable exercise because now I get to spend time with him
Hmm.
while writing a novel, while getting some great ideas on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these are sometimes you just have to open yourself up to the things. What is it? Somebody said, this is how we've always done it is a really bad reason
Right.
why to do things in a certain way.
Right. Right.
So doing things in a different way, just open yourself up, try different things, and you may fail, but at least you tried.
Yeah. And we can do all of these things in little mundane tasks around the house. Like, for example, like right now,
100%.
our dishwasher is broke. Like, and so nobody likes doing the dishes. Like, that's why we have a dishwasher. But in the meantime, while we're getting it fixed and getting a new one installed, it's like a mundane task can be enjoyable. You can like invite the family to kind of help. You can have that little, one-on-one time with the kiddo. Put on some music. That sure helps, brighten the
Yeah.
mood up a little bit. So we can do this in things that, we need to get through for work, for personal things, but really it's a choice. Like we can turn anything into a joyful activity if
Yeah,
we choose
100%.
to. So,
100%.
oh
I
God.
hate changing the litter for the cats, but I use it as an example. It's such a like, and the cats, my kids brought the cats and they were supposed to take care of them.
Right,
So it's
right,
like it was never even my job.
right.
But I have to change the litter for the cats. And what I do is I use it as an excuse to just move around the house
Mhm.
and kind of nudge my kids a little bit,
Right.
and kind of say hello and spark a conversation.
Yeah,
So it's like, oh, I have to move away from my desk, and that would be kind of, oh, I have to do this thing.
right.
So because I can sit at my desk for 6 hours and it's not good because
No,
that I'm sitting. So I
right.
use these kind of triggers to change how I'm doing things.
Yeah,
It's moving to a standing desk and stuff like that.
right,
So
right.
we are very good at telling stories and
Oh
making things different than they are. Telling a whole story, imagining something
yeah.
different, and turn it into an adventure. We used to do it when we were 5 year olds. We'll imagine all kind of things, so we can do it today.
Yes, we have to go back to our creative self when we were little. So if you have kids around the house, or if you know of anybody that has kids, spend some time with like the littler ones,
Oh my God,
3 to 6 years
yes.
old, maybe even up to 8, because they just have this great imagination. They can have
Yeah,
fun doing anything. You can give them the most expensive, latest toy and a cardboard box. And most likely they'll choose the cardboard box because there's a lot more things you can do with it.
yeah.
And so we have to get back into that creative sense. And so get around something, try something new, like just do something to get you out of whatever state into more joy and happiness.
Yeah. Well, that's why I did the book the way I did it, where
Mhm.
you can read something and you have an artwork next to it
Yeah.
by Antonio Piedade, who's the Portuguese artist who did the artwork. Incredible work.
Yeah, it
So
is.
the way I did it is like if you and I were walking in a gallery and looking at paintings, and we would having conversations, sometimes a small talk, sometimes
Mhm.
a deep conversation. We will stop at the painting. Maybe the painting sparks the conversation
Right.
or another direction, or because of the conversation we see the painting in a different light.
Mhm.
And that is what I intended it to be. I intended it to be kind of this walk with a friend that
Mhm.
you're talking to, rather than here's a book that is meant to be like a book.
Right. Right.
So that I built it that way, and I left a lot of white pages so that you
Right.
can leave notes and stuff like that. So I
Mhm.
wanted I wanted to give people that space,
Yeah.
because after COVID, we're not having those conversations. We're
Mhm.
not spending that much time
Yeah.
together. We have a kind of a challenge with loneliness and having friends and having companions.
Mhm.
And this was kind of to spark that and to help people get into the habit of having deeper conversations and
Yeah.
enjoying art, going out, and that was the intention.
Yeah, well, I really love it. So thanks for providing me like, a copy of it because it was like I'm looking at it going, this is not like a normal setup for a book. And I really appreciate it too, because now that you talk through it and I'm like, oh yeah, there was the artwork was amazing. And so it was just like stare at that for a while, but you have so many white pages, which I feel like is so like different in a lot of because this is, like a personal development book. It talks a lot about our thoughts. It talks about how to live. You said a chapter on breathing and joy. But there's that space where you can write the notes, like what comes up for you. And that creates a deeper connection with the words that you're reading and the art that you're seeing because we don't often do that. I'm guilty of this. I love to read self development, personal development books, but it's like you read it and it's like, oh, something captures your head, like mine is like, oh, and it triggers something. Well, you have to put it down. You have to like go somewhere else, like jot down your or voice text, your thoughts, and you lose that moment. But you have that right there for people to be able to experience all in the same moment. So
Uh,
appreciate that.
it was structured around how my life is in the sense that I would meet people. I've always learned from people. I would read a book.
Mhm,
I would
mhm,
be sparked by an idea. That's why one chapter you'll have it like two, three paragraphs, and the others, like 2 pages.
mhm.
And the reason is sometimes you get in, all you need is one thought, and
Yeah.
you just need to stay with that thought. And let's say you have a space where between meetings you're
Mhm.
thinking about, God, that was a great
Yeah.
conversation. And sometimes you talk with someone about work, and the other you talk about life.
Mhm.
And one of the things I included is a friend of mine used to say this. He worked on an ad campaign, and the ad campaign says sometimes you find yourself in the middle of nowhere, and sometimes in the middle of nowhere you find yourself. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, that's such a deep thing. Even though it's an ad slogan, I think it was for Hummer or something, the car, and it was like that stays with me. And I actually included the book.
Mhm.
Sometimes in the middle of nowhere you find yourself,
Yeah.
and these are the kind of things that happen in life where you sometimes hear a homeless person on the road and they say something like, wow, that's profound.
Yeah.
And or you read the sign. So that's what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be kind of a walk in life,
Mhm.
because we separate. For me, books have always been my companions in life,
Mhm.
because I everything that I've done, I kind of had to learn it.
Yeah.
So those were my mentors, those were my companions. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if I created a book that would be a companion for, especially after COVID.
Mhm.
I've written actually 4 books before that, and I all threw them away. I didn't want to write them because before I wanted to be an author, and this is my book. This
Mhm.
book was more like, COVID came, and I was like, okay, what if I die tomorrow and I have nothing to leave the kids of all of my wisdom, everything I've done, and that I can teach them, not my history. I'm writing a memoir, but this is not about me, as in like learn about me, as
Mhm.
much as learn from me, and I can pass on the knowledge that I
Yeah.
worked so hard and
Yeah.
I suffered to get. And the same thing, I wanted to leave people that I mentored as entrepreneurs and got great value. I said, oh, I can add value. I have a place in life. I have something to add. Let me encapsulate that as much as I can
Mhm.
and put it in something that will always live beyond me. And that's what the book is
Yeah.
about. And I structured it around the greatest experience that I had, which is usually in conversations, which is usually down to earth,
Mhm.
not doesn't look down on you and just tells you how things are. And these are
Right.
the greatest conversations that I've had.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a great conversation and a great some in-depth things that you can just sit and ponder for a while. And I love that quote. And it's just so interesting. So if listeners out there going, like, where can I get this book? Like, tell me a little bit more about Hussein. Like, where can they find you? Can they find your book?
Absolutely. So you can search Hussein Hallak. HusseinHallak.com is my website. You'll find the book there. The book is The Dark Art of Life Mastery, because it is an art to master life. And it is dark because it's like Harry Potter putting potions
Mhm.
together, and some things will blow up in your face. Don't blame me. At least the book will not blow up.
Right.
And you can find it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, so anywhere, The Dark Art of Life Mastery. And it's a Creative Commons book, which means that you can take it and you can expand on it and
Mhm.
make it your own, which I would love, for people to kind of build on some of the things I have there, and hopefully it adds value to your life.
Awesome. Well, awesome. I'll put that in the show notes so people can easily click on that and get them to your website to get the book and wherever they can find it. So thankful for you to come on today and share about your book, but just more share about just great, life experiences and how we can choose our own future and be in the moment, be aware so that you can move towards where you want to be. So with that, as we wrap up, can you just share, do you have anything like you that we left unsaid? Maybe a quote or a thought that you want to leave the listeners with today?
I've been asked about the quote. One of the quotes that actually completely changed my life is I don't remember if it's a quote or it's I invented it, honestly, to be honest, but it goes something like this. There is like there is always someone at any given moment in time. There's always someone looking up to you to learn from your thoughts, words,
Mhm.
and actions.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, because before that I was like, who am I? Who am I for anybody to learn from? Like I was
Mhm.
just a kid from Syria trying to figure shit out.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what I was doing. But when I heard that, I was like, oh, so the people around me are looking at me and looking up to me. So
Mhm.
they're not looking up like to the people I look up to. They're looking up to me.
Mhm.
So I better be careful. I better be careful what I'm putting out in the world because
Mhm.
I don't want people to learn from me the bad things. And
Right.
that completely shifted how I approach life. And
Mhm.
that is the reason of kind of the man that I am today. And the book that I write is all driven by what I want to put out in the world to be thoughtful about that. So
Mhm.
I think that if there is anything that you kind of that will change your life is to look at yourself as someone who matters. You might not think highly of yourself, but there's someone around you that thinks highly of you, that is looking up, that is trying to learn from you. So be mindful and be thoughtful how what you put out in life, the value that you add in life, because you do have, no
Yeah.
matter how small, you do have something to add. So be mindful of that. Read the book and do well and do good in life.
Awesome. Awesome. That is so great parting thoughts because someone is always watching. And when I think people think about that, I think they think about the little kids looking up to you, but it's
Mm.
not. I mean, every day here, we adults, I don't know about you, but we can experience people like, wow, that, awesome, respectful adult, or yeah, not so much, but
I want to be that or I don't want to be
yeah, I want to
that.
be that or not. Like we can all find those examples in our life, and it doesn't mean that it's always have to be a younger person looking up to us. We just like, how do we want to leave, our presence with other people? So we are a gift for others. How do we want to leave that with them? Do we want to leave like, yes, I want to be like you, or maybe not? So
Yeah.
thank you so much. Someone is always watching, and please check out HusseinHallak.com. Check out where his book and just learn a little bit more about him. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you for the wonderful interview and for having me here.